Let me ask you this, because obviously the wounds are deep. It's from the past that resurface. That's why when anything like this happens, and I'm not saying it wasn't racially charged, but how do we know that Siobhan was killing him, for example, because he was white? I mean, black. You know what I mean? Like, how do we really know in his mind that he was? I'm not saying the abuses don't happen. I'm not saying that the cops haven't done what you've said in the past. I'm just playing devil's advocate for a moment. How do we know that this particular one? I'm not talking about all the other ones. The one in Staten Island.
Because we have a lot of people have taken a lot of video of white officers accosting white men, and the fact is that, and they're given.
I agree with what you're saying.
And they're treated with much more respect. Because I've even seen one where a white guy turned around and took the club and started beating the officer. A gun didn't come out. They didn't shoot this guy. So the point is that how do I put it? You don't know, but the actions say a lot. This man, first and foremost, was dehumanized. So we don't know where in his psyche did he feel that he could treat a man of color this way. When you listen to the guy that was in the car with him, he was basically attacked. This guy was cooperating every which way. You bringing me to the wall, you're making me sit down, you're making me get up, all because I used what turned out to be a counterfeit $20 bill in the store. On 3 times in my adult life, I had counterfeit bills come out of Citibank and Chase ATMs.
Out of banks. I agree. I worked in a bank.
Out of banks' ATMs. And the bank was like, well, you're out of luck. We can't take it back. You know, and I'm like, well, you know, like, look, well, how do we know
that's crazy.
That it was this $20? So the point is I had to eat the $20 all 3 times. But I wasn't arrested. I was pissed I had to eat it. You know, so it's like, okay, so I got a $20 bill. Okay, I didn't know. It was like, I'm not a bum. I'm driving a nice car. I'm not being disrespectful. I'm being respectful to you. Yes, officer, I'm in compliance. So now you just want to come out, rip me out of the car. So right then I'm already feeling violated. You could feel the energy, man, when it's happening to you. You could feel the aggressive energy.
But let me ask you this.
Feel it.
I've had a few instances where, I mean, nothing like what's happened in your community. But I got a weird fucking name. I might be white, but when they're looking at my fucking license, there's no white name. You get my point? In their minds.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? And, you know, as someone that would be classified as Caucasian, I don't hear people, you know, whenever there's no one of color around, I don't hear them talking. Like, I haven't noticed it as far as the general public goes as much. You know, people make jokes here and there. Comedians make, which is sad because it was kind of funny. Comedians used to make fun of each other, make fun of different races and shit. Those days look like they're long gone in comedy, right? But the wounds are so deep. My question is, do you think that there's a real danger in this country? I mean, what I don't understand is, what do you think happens next? What do you think the next move is? I mean, there's so much chaos going on right now. Not even because of the virus. I mean, not even because of Floyd's death. I think it compounded with the virus on top of that.
Well, I think, listen, I threw my back out. I injured my back. And it wasn't what I did that day that did the damage. It was that move, that day, when I lifted up to help that woman, was the straw that basically broke the camel's back, no pun intended, right? So what George Floyd's issue was, he was the straw that tipped the scale. But just recently, behind the guy Ahmaud Arbery in Georgia, and the sister in I forgot where she was living, the emergency medical technician, where they just bashed into her apartment. Okay, so but this is repeated. So what I'd like to see happen is, again, the protesting of the 60s did, move the needle forward. But there's still issues why. What I'd like to see happen is that the protests, and the most beautiful thing I see about it, don't get me wrong, there were always white people, Caucasians in this country, who stood next to racial injustice, always, and I want to acknowledge it. Going back to Ben Franklin,
they marched with Martin Luther King, and they marched with Malcolm X.
I'm talking Ben Franklin and the abolitionist movement. I mean, like, since the founding of this country, you know, there have been white people who are just against slavery, you know, and just didn't do it. Now, I think for most people, you see, most people, if you think about it, America, we're an overworked society. So you working, your wife's working, whatever, you're busting your butt, you know, just trying to get ahead in society, right? And so therefore, you're not thinking about my problems because you're not getting racially profiled when you drive up. You believe that the police officers are there. So in your mind, as long as I'm not breaking the law, the police are not going to bother me. They have no reason to stop me, right? So as long as don't give them a reason to stop me, get it. I'm not going to get stopped or be questioned unless I give them a reason. Now, in the case of people in color, we know that we are repeatedly stopped for no other reason than the color of our skin. The richest black man in America, Robert Frederick Smith, who owns one of the top hedge funds in the world, quite frankly, was the best performing hedge fund in the world for 10 years running. He's the chairman of Carnegie Hall. His main home is in Colorado. You know, this guy drives what he wants to drive. You know, and
fly where you want to fly.
Listen, he's got an interracial kid, right? He's black, his wife is white, and he wrote about it on Instagram along like 4 times over the past couple of years. He's being pulled over for no other reason. He's not speeding. He's not going to speed with his daughter in the car. He's taking her to school. He has casual clothes, but he's driving his Ferrari or his Lamborghini or whatever he feels like driving. And so as a result, he's getting pulled over for no other reason than who's this black dude driving this car? What's he about? Let me stop him. Maybe there's probable cause. You understand what I'm saying? So we operate, you know, with this thing on our back, never knowing when we're going to be stopped just because. And it's happened to us so much that when they look at a guy, going back to your point about Chauvin, you know, what else are we going to come to? You're going to dehumanize this guy. This guy gave you every reason to just handle him humanely. You're going to give him a ticket. You're going to find out, where did he get this bill? Yeah, you could question him. But after that, what did he do? Like, what did he actually do?
And then to touch on this incident,
you know, is he running a counterfeit ring?
I didn't appreciate, and, you know, I've liked some of the stuff that, you know, maybe you heard of Candace Owens. Her video went viral. Okay, where she basically attacked the character of George Floyd. Me, whatever he did does not play a role and does not impact. And to me, you know, she mentions it. You know, he was arrested. Well, that has nothing to do with the price of tea in China.
Right.
The guy was already handcuffed. He was murdered.
He was detained already.
Forget about what he did. That cop is not the judge, executioner, you know, jury, executioner. That's number one. Okay? Because if we don't stand up for someone like George Floyd's rights, what about my kids one day?
Right. And it goes right. And it goes.
I didn't like what, and I'm sorry to, you know.
No, go ahead, please.
I didn't like how she started that with, you know, even though she's trying to claim that, you know, it doesn't matter and he shouldn't represent us. I don't think, and I think I understand it correctly, that it's not about who he was before the murder, because he was murdered. It's about that it happened to all these other people. It's happened collectively, and it's happened for a long fucking time in this country. That he was an explosion point. He was an exploding point. Again,